Hey everyone, welcome back to another World of Warcraft Dragonflight Alpha video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the new talent trees for Arms Warrior. Particularly in this video, we're going to be looking at the talents, getting a feel for what's there, and trying to create a build that's going to be good for open world content, questing, leveling, that kind of stuff. So, if you haven't seen the first warrior video I put out, which was the Fury Warrior video, be sure to go and check that out. In that video, I took a pretty in-depth look at the class side of the tree. That being said, that video was recorded on a different build of the alpha from this one, so there may be slight differences here between what we see on the class side of the tree in this video versus that one. That being said, the protection warrior video was done on the same build as this one, and I went into that one fairly in depth as well. We won't spend too much time on the class side of the tree here. We're mainly going to focus on the arms warrior side of the tree and get in and take a look at what's going on. So that being said, please leave a thumbs up, a like on the video if you enjoy it. Leave some comments down in the comment section below. Let me know whether or not you're liking this content and whether you would like to see more content like this in the future beyond the alpha. I am definitely taking your feedback into consideration when deciding whether or not to make additional content beyond things like this. So please let me know. All right, so we're going to take a look at Arms Warrior. Now, this is my least played spec on Warrior. I was starting to get into it in BFA and Shadowlands as well, so I'm not totally out of touch with it, but well, we'll see. I may be a little bit rusty, but that's kind of the point of these videos. Jump back in, take a look at the talent trees, see what we can do. So we are currently spec'd Arms. And it looks like we're going to get Battle Stance as our default talent here before we invest any sort of talent points. Let's take a look at our spell book and see what we have. So we do have our Battle Shouts. We've got our Stance, which is up here. We have Charge, Hamstring, Heroic Throw, Pummel, Shield Block, which we're not going to be using a shield, so we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about Shield Slam. We will be using Slam, I believe. We have Taunt, not worried about that. We do have Victory Rush, super important. We've got Whirlwind, which we should use. And then in the arms section, we have Execute. And we also have some passives, so we have Deep Wounds, Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, and Blade Storm, none of which we have right now. Inflict deep wounds, dealing bleed damage. And then we also have Seasoned Soldier. Our auto attack critical strikes generate more rage. So as we go through this, I'm not going to be going in depth into every single ability. I'm going to assume you have some working knowledge of Arms Warrior, and I'm mainly going to touch on things that either look new or things that I need a refresher on myself. So we're going to jump into the class side of the tree, and we're just going to go ahead and grab some of the stuff that I think is pretty good. So I love this chain here, fast footwork into impending victory. We're going to grab Overpower and Pummel cooldown reduction here. I think outside of that, we do want to get Heroic Leap. I still want that somehow, and I think... Oh, that feels bad. Maybe we'll go Berserker. We'll go like that to get it. So that's going to give us Berserker's Rage, Spell Reflection, and into Heroic Leap. We got 1 point left to spend, and I think we'll put that in Increased Leech. Coming down here, Rend, we actually can use this on Arms. It gives us a damage over time ability. Let's grab that. Let's grab the Stun. Let's increase our Strength. Extra charges on Charge. Let's go for Heroic Leap cooldown reduction. Let's see. Let's go for the possible rage refund here. And I think we're just going to go through here and pick up some of these. So Slam damage increased. Whirlwind damage increase. Slam damage. Max rage. We'll grab Execute as well. So we'll do that. We're going to go here for crit chance. We're going to grab increased damage dealt when using two-handed weapons. And then I think we're probably going to go for Spear of Bastion again. We got 1 point left, so I think our class sign of the tree is going to look like that. All right, so let's get into the arms side of the tree. So we're going to go through and we're going to check out the active abilities first, which is going to be the ones in these boxes here. Then we're going to look at our choices, which are the ones that have the little arrows on either side. And then we're going to look at the passives, the circle nodes, as we go through and actually create the build. So we got Mortal Strike, which we have to take, and Overpower, which we have to take. So Mortal Strike is going to be our Rage Spender. It does a bunch of damage, reduces the healing effectiveness on the target. We should have a lot of passives that tie into Mortal Strike. And we also have Overpower, which is going to be an ability we get to use. It has a cooldown, but it does a good amount of physical damage and can't be blocked, dodged, or parried. We should see a lot of synergies with that too. We have Die by the Sword. So this is a 2-minute cooldown defensive that we have here. It's okay. I mean, don't really need it in questing content a lot of the times, especially with a 2-minute cooldown. This is kind of a oh crap sort of ability here. So if we can pass on taking this, I probably would, to pick up more damage, more survivability, more movement speed, more healing, that kind of stuff. We do have Colossus Smash, which is a solid 45-second cooldown ability. Probably going to have some synergies tying into that. Good ability. I don't always love it for questing, depending on how much you have to invest into it. But just as like a flat 45-second cooldown, I think it's solid. We have Skull Splitter. So this is instant with a long cooldown that it deals damage and generates some rage. I have taken this before as a means to generate rage more quickly. So we'll see like where we go with this. We got Sweeping Strikes, so this causes your single target damaging abilities to hit an additional target for 75% of the damage. Ollie, no running. She's looking at me confused. Then we do have Cleave, so Cleave is an AoE ability that's going to hit all targets and inflict deep wounds. It also will consume Overpower to deal increased damage. Let's see, we have Warbreaker. So this is it doesn't say that it replaces Colossus Smash, but I believe it traditionally does. It's basically Colossus Smash. Let's see. Smash the ground, shatter armor, dealing 2/2/2/2/0 and increasing damage. Smash the enemies. Okay, so yeah, this is the AoE version of Colossus Smash. It doesn't say it replaces it, but I would assume that it does. Then we have Blade Storm. Really solid ability. Probably the one we want to pick up for sure based on what I'm seeing so far. Just a nice AoE on a 1.5-minute cooldown. Does a bunch of damage. And then we have Skull Banner. So this is the Maldraxxus ability, I believe. Throw down a Skull Banner, empowering you and your allies. Increase critical strike damage. And that's it. Okay. So based on all that, I'm not pulled. I'm pulled more to the left and the right. Obviously, there's not as many active abilities on the left-hand side as there are on the right-hand side. That doesn't mean we don't want to go that way, because a lot of times, you know, not having to push a million buttons is a nice way to play when you're questing and leveling. But we may go over here, you know, just to pick up some extra buttons to push if we need them. So let's take a look at our choice nodes. So here we have a choice between Tactician's chance to trigger is increased. So Tactician is going to be this here. You have a chance per rage spent to reset the remaining cooldown on Overpower, which we do want. So increasing that chance is nice. Or Punishment, which is a work in progress. Execute is now usable on targets who are above 80% health or below 20% health. I like that. It's very Condemn-y, and I'm a big fan of Condemn. It'd be nice if we got it somewhere, but I don't know if we will. Okay, moving on. Over here, we've got a choice between Colossus Smash increasing haste by 10%, or 20 if the target's below 20% health. When Colossus Smash expires, your strength is increased for every 10 rage you spent during Colossus Smash. Probably solid, but I hate these kind of talents where you have to do a bunch of stuff in a window. I hate them in questing content. Next, we have Sweeping Strikes last longer, or when Sweeping Strikes end, your next Whirlwind deals increased damage for each ability used during Sweeping Strikes. Like, that damages the second target. Again, like another window thing I'm not like super crazy about. We got Storm of Swords. Whirlwind costs 30 more rage and has a 14-second cooldown, but now deals 200% more damage. That is interesting. And I am not sure if I would like that. That's like a test it out. Damage at Slam and Whirlwind is increased. That's just a solid, nice little pickup there. And then down here we have, while using two-handed swords or axes, your critical damage is increased by 20%, and your execute has a 10% increased critical chance. And blunt instruments, so this is like the axes and swords. This is like your maces and hammers. Let's see. The damage and duration of Colossus Smash is increased. So this is a very like kind of utilitarian, you know, middle tree that we have here. Okay, so we have a lot of passives to get into, especially over here. It's a little ridiculous, but let's see what we have. So obviously here we have the chance to reset the cooldown on Overpower. I do like that. We want to pick that up. Execute no longer has a cooldown, and if your foe survives, 20% of the rage spent is refunded. Okay, so like an execution style build we're going into here. But this does connect to an increase on the damage on Mortal Strike, which is pretty good. Right here, your bleed effects have a chance to grant you 5 rage. So I would pick this up if I was having rage generation issues, but I don't know if we will or not without testing. You're healed for 30% of the damage dealt by deep wounds. Again, that's kind of a testing thing. Do I want to pick that up? Because it feels like the healing would help us or not. I personally think with good impending victory management, you don't need a lot of additional healing. On Warrior, you do need maybe a little bit more on Arms and Fury than you do on Protection, just because you have lower defenses, but still. Overpower increases the damage of your next Mortal Strike or Cleave by 20%, stacking up to 2 times. I do generally take this in the builds that I make. And then the damage of Overpower is increased. So overall, we've got like 2 talents here that I may take depending on the build, but probably wouldn't take right now. Then we've got increase on Mortal Strike, increase on Overpower, both good. We need to spend 5 points, so I think we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1 point left to spend, which for right now, I'll probably put in Die by the Sword in case we want to go down the middle for something, which we might. Oh, and we do have an additional point. So right now, I think I'll go for the Rage Generation bleed thing here. Okay, so let's take a look at the middle and see what we can get from here and kind of figure out if we want to go here at all. So we do have the Execute, the little Condemn talent there that I kind of like. Whirlwind also slams your primary target, is very nice. We got Sweeping Strikes into the different choices we had here, into Versatility, Blade Storm, and then into our choice here. While Blade Storm is active, you automatically cast a total of 2 Mortal Strikes at random nearby enemies. When Blade Storm ends, Whirlwind and Cleave deal increased damage for 9 seconds. So this is very AoE heavy, but Blade Storm is such a good ability. We don't have to go down this middle chunk to get to it because we can come in from the side. And I think that's what I would rather do. Like, just kind of skip this chunk here. I might even get rid of Die by the Sword and just go ahead and pick that. Oh, we actually don't need to put that point there. So I don't know if this is bugged or what happened here. Okay, 1 point. So it looks like maybe we just needed the 1 point and I threw an extra one in there or something. Well, I'll have to go back and look at that. Okay, so I think I want to skip this whole middle chunk here. Probably want to go into this. Let's see what our comparisons are versus this. So over here, we have increased crit chance. Over here, we have increased mastery. So these are just stats, right? So it's really about the bottom clusters. So we know this is Blade Storm plus Blade Storm effects, plus probably here I would take the critical damage. Down here, we have Execute deals increased damage. So this is the Execute pump skill. We have the Skull Banner, and then we have Exploiter. Execute causes the target to take 50% more damage from your next mortal strike, stacking up to 2 times. I don't really like this compared to the Blade Storm side. Over here, we have Deep Wounds, Rend, and Thunderous Roar's bleed effects last longer. Not really necessary. I believe they're already 15 seconds, which is too long, generally speaking, for questing. Your Overpower is a 40% chance to reset the cooldown of Mortal Strike and reduce the rage cost of your next Mortal Strike by 15. So that seems pretty good. That's on top of... Okay, so the chance to reset Overpower, and then the chance for Overpower to reset Mortal Strike. And then down here, your Mortal Strikes against enemies above 30% health have a high chance to apply Fatal Mark. When an enemy falls below 30% health, your next Execute inflicts an additional damage per stack of Fatal Mark. That's pretty cool, actually. So yeah, I think we're leading away from the right-hand side, and we're kind of going for either this bottom middle cluster for Blade Storm, or this bottom cluster over here for this sort of Mortal Strike kind of chain. So let's take a look at this group here and see if there's anything we want. So obviously we can pick up Colossus Smash. That's 1 point. That's not a super heavy investment. Cleave's in there as well for some additional AoE. And then we have a talent that reduces the cooldown of Cleave. We do have every 20 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Colossus Smash and Blade Storm. So maybe if we pick up Blade Storm, that's an okay one to pick up. And that can go into Warbreaker. We have our choice here, our Colossus Smash Tide choice. And then here we have your attacks have your chance to make your next Execute cost no rage. So not in love with anything over here. None of this is like bad. But I think like we might put a point in like Colossus Smash and Cleave just to get those abilities, but I don't know if we'll pump them up. So as of right now, I think like it might be worth 2 points to make Whirlwind Slam the primary target. It might be worth the point to pick up Sweeping Strikes for some AoE, but I honestly think I'd rather put in like the points to get Cleave and just have an extra AoE, plus like again the Whirlwind slamming your primary target is nice. So let's see what we have going over here. Your damaging critical strikes deal an additional 10% damage. We've got Skull Splitter. Reduce the rage cost of your next 4 abilities by 100%. So this is actually an active ability. It's solid, 1 minute cooldown. Usable when questing for sure. Not a have to pick up. Mortal Strike has a 15% chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. I am liking this like Mortal Strike direction we can go here. Overpower has 2 charges and causes a seismic wave, dealing damage to all enemies. Yep. This one here is damage of deep wounds is increased. When Skull Splitter damages an opponent, it causes your deep wounds and rend effects to expire 200% faster. Okay. Now it's a 22-second cooldown, but still, I like that. We're going to grab that. We're going to grab that. We're going to grab the damage of deep wounds increased. We're going to go healed damage on deep wounds, overpower, cleave. I'm not sure. We need 2 more points spent. So we can go for Deadly Calm. We can reduce the cooldown of cleave, which I don't feel we need to do. I think maybe we got 2 points. We can get Whirlwind Slams the target, or we can make Colossus Smash turn into Warbreaker instead. Right now, let's go for Whirlwind Slamming the primary target. Looks like, again, like this was messed up. That was 2 points, but it says we need 1. So this is kind of just a little messed up here. We will increase Tactician's chance to trigger. All right, so then it's a matter of Blade Storm or, you know, going down this path. I think I want to try this path here. All right, so this is going to get us all the resets kind of going. And then we can increase our versatility. We can reduce the cooldown of Colossus Smash and Blade Storm. We can have the Execute, the Cleave reduction. Deep Wounds, Rend, and Thunderous Roar's bleed effects last longer. If we do that, plus the combination of Skull Splitter causing them to expire, that could be cool. So I think I would want to test this out, right? The whole thing here is like, we Mortal Strike to reset Mortal Strike, and to reset... Let's see... Yeah, Mortal Strike to reset Mortal Strike. And then we also Overpower to reset Mortal Strike. And that's pretty much it. We put our bleeds on stuff. We've got our Rend. We've got our Gushing Wound. So let's see. Let's apply this real quick. Let's take a look at our Deep Wounds. Here we go. So our Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, Cleave, and Blade Storm will inflict Deep Wounds. Okay. And for our talents... Deep Wounds specifically heal us. Okay. It doesn't say Rend counts as Deep Wounds, but that's fine. We'll figure it out. Alright, so we have our Storm Bolts. We've got our Heroic Leap. We got Berserker's Rage. We've got Rend. Spell Reflection. Cleave. Skull Splitter. Colossus Smash. Mortal Strike. Overpower. Die by the Sword, Spear of Bastion. Alright, so we actually have quite a few abilities on our bar. So we're going to want to, like I said, Overpower, Mortal Strike. I think we kind of want to spam our Skull Splitter as much as possible after that. Then we have Execute, Impending Victory. We also do have Slam, so Slam is going to be... I believe the thing we're casting when we cannot cast Mortal Strike. Which maybe we can cast Mortal Strike a lot. Alright, so quick recap here. So we've got chance per rage spent to reset the cooldown on Overpower. Alright, we've got that chance increased. We've got Whirlwind Slam's the primary target. So I think generally we want to... Well, we would want to slam against single targets still. It's cheaper on Rage. Execute no longer has a cooldown, and if the target survives the Execute, 20% of the Rage spent is refunded. We've got Bleed effects have a chance to give us Rage, and that goes into us being healed by Deep Wounds. That goes into the bleed effects being increased, which is also Skull Splitter hitting a target and causing those bleeds to deal their effect 200% faster. And then also they have increased duration. So I don't love the increased duration, but if you combine that with the heal, if you combine that with the additional damage, and you combine that with Skull Splitter being able to speed up those bleeds, I think it's a pretty nice package. Potentially, I mean, that's some points out that could come in over here and up the Colossus Smash stuff. So if we needed to, we could pull this out. We could pull this, and this out. That's 4 points. That lets us come in and get like Warbreaker plus the, choice talent for Colossus Smash here. So we could easily change that up, right? If we thought the bleeds weren't really worth it. Then we got Critical Strikes deal additional damage. Overpower deals additional damage. Mortal Strike can reset its own cooldown. Overpower has 2 charges. Overpower has a chance to reset Mortal Strike and reduce the rage cost. And then Mortal Strike has a chance to apply a Fatal Mark. which makes our next execute deal additional damage. And we won't be able to see the execute against the target dummy, but that's okay. We're going to take all these builds out into leveling zones and test them out anyway. So we can check that out there. So we're going to charge in. We're going to hit Overpower. Mortal Strike is up. Overpower. Overpower. Slam, because we didn't have enough for a Mortal Strike there. Alright, Overpower. Slam. Alright, Mortal Strike. I think we're hitting, like, fairly hard. 4,000 on the non-crit Mortal Strike is pretty solid. We got a reset. Another reset. And we are capping out our rage here. From not casting Slam, but I'm just trying to see like how easy it is to rotate between just Overpower and Mortal Strike. And it seems pretty easy so far. So we don't need to constantly spam Overpower. Right, so when we cast Overpower, we get next Mortal Strike or Cleave will deal 20% increased damage. That will stack up to 2 times. So really, we want a Mortal Strike, or we want to Overpower, and then twice, and then spin that on a Mortal Strike. So if we don't have Mortal Strike up, then we want to cast like Slam instead and wait for Mortal Strike to come up. So it'll be, you know, Overpower, Overpower, Mortal Strike if it's up, Overpower. Right here we don't have the buff, so we can Slam, Overpower the second time, Mortal Strike, Overpower, Overpower, Slam, Mortal Strike, Overpower, Slam, Overpower, Mortal Strike. So you just 2 stacks of Overpower into an increased damage Mortal Strike. And then you go back into your Overpower. Now, right now, I'm not really seeing like rage generation problems. I'm seeing us capping rage pretty frequently on this rotation. So I'm wondering if like maybe, you know, we don't need some of the rage generation stuff. You know, like here, your periodic bleed effects have a chance to grant you 5 rage. Like maybe we could pull that out and put it somewhere else. You know, like right now, that's the initial thing that I'm seeing. So let's go ahead and try to use our Skull Splitter, right, with the bleeds. So Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, which we do have, Cleave, which we do have. Those will all cause deep wounds. Let's see if we can stack those. So if we Mortal Strike on the targets, got deep wounds for 309. Colossus Smash, deep wounds for 309. Cleave, deep wounds for 309. So it does not increase, but let's see what happens here. Okay, so we hit our Skull Splitter. So before that, deep wounds hit the training dummy for 520 physical, 400 physical, 520, 400. After Skull Splitter, we got 400, 400, 960, 400, 400, 960, 400, 400, 400, 960, 400, 960, 607. So that started ticking a lot faster with Skull Splitter, which is what is supposed to happen. Right, so we look at this, look for the ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we got the speed there. Let's let that wear off. Let's see how long it takes for 4 ticks. If we go here, Mortal Strike, into Skull Splitter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's gone. It's gone. So yeah, that's fairly quick. So I think we're going to want to use that when we're able to do a couple of things to keep those stacks up, right? So like we Mortal Strike, we hit this, we're going to want to make sure we're cleaving, Colossus smashing, you know, whatever it is that we can do to maintain that bleed stack for as long as that Overpower, our Skull Splitter, is up. Now, I don't remember, does it say? It just says it causes your deep wounds and rend effects to expire 200% faster. So, I can't really tell if it does it the entire time. Like, if we are refreshing deep wounds, does it keep doing it? I imagine there's a time limit on it. Let's see. So we don't have any buff. And there's no buff on the target either that's showing how long that lasts. Let's check out a rend. Alright, so rend 2, 3, overpower. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah. So I actually do think this is like a fairly good talent to have, but you're not going to be using it on every enemy, right? You're going to get like a rare spawn, an elite mob or something, and you're going to stack you're going to throw your rend on, you're going to punch them with Mortal Strike and, you know, whatever else, spin some rage, and then hit them with Skull Splitter and just have those bleed ticks stack up really fast. I do wish there was a way to like stack deep wounds or something. Like, I feel like there's a piece missing to make that really awesome, and that piece could just be my own understanding, right? Maybe I just don't know what the proper way to cycle through that is, but I'm just trying to decide, like, is that worth the point? Like, it's obviously a valuable talent, but my question is, like, with the cooldown on Skull Splitter being 22 seconds and deep wounds only being up for a few seconds, like, is it worth it? If you could extend the duration of deep wounds to something like 12 seconds and then slap this on the target, like, that would be awesome. But as it is, you know, this is up for... Oh, it says 14. Okay, so it is a fairly long time. Never mind. Okay, so it is a fairly long time. If we slap them again. Okay, I saw how fast that was going. So what I want to see is if... I want to see if it stays that speed if we refresh it. All right, we got 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to Mortal Strike, hit this. Okay, it does not. So it applies to that initial rend that you do one time. So you basically get to speed up 1 deep wounds every 22 seconds and also generate some rage and deal some damage. That doesn't seem as strong as it could be to me. And I don't know if, again, like I said, arms is my least played specialization for warrior, and I don't know if that's just a matter of, like, I don't get it yet, or if that's really just not... It's not that it's not good, it's just, it doesn't come across as great to me. And for a 1-point talent, like, mid-tree, I feel like maybe it should be a little better. I guess if you are, let's see how much. So we're on this 545. Let's see if we apply rend and deep wounds and then hit Skull Splitter. How much damage was that in like no time? Right, so where did we hit Skull Splitter right here, right? Yeah, that was pretty effective. So we hit for 2100. Then we did 1,000, 500, 400, 1,500, 400, 600. Nope, that's a melee. 400. Rend crit for 1,500, 960, 1,500. Yeah, that's actually a lot of damage. Like when you add up all those little ticks, that's actually a lot of damage. So okay, you want to combine it with like Rend, Overpower, Skullbreaker. That was a lot of damage in a small amount of time. It didn't look like it, but it was. Heavy hitting damage right now in the alpha is, you know, anywhere from like 5k to 8k. Anything like more than 8k is hitting like really hard. And I mean, if you look at this, like that took no time for that to generate. That's 1,000. That's 2,000 easy, 3,000, 4.5, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8.5, 9,000, 9,500 damage in like no time. That is gonna melt things, I believe. We'll have to test it in the open world, but I think just that combo of like that, Rend, that. I think that's going to shred some stuff. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see in the testing. So, but yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. This is the build I want to test. Like I said, we could pretty easily like pull the points out of all this bleed stuff and throw them into making like Colossus Smash better, switching it to Warbreaker, you know, something like that. Like there's definitely changes we could make. But I think I want to try this out because that feels like a fairly good amount of damage. I just need to see it on a target that can actually die. To know whether or not it's pretty effective, because I'm imagining, you know, like you just go up and you rend, like you charge. That's going to give you 20 rage. You probably have some rage left over. You rend, you mortal strike, you skull splitter, and then you start overpowering, and the thing's probably dead with like one overpower. I think. And that seems pretty good. Now, you can't do it every enemy because of the cooldown on Skull Splitter, but every other enemy, you know, roughly, like you could probably do that. But anyway, this is the build I want to test. We also didn't have like Battle Shout. We weren't in a stance, which we should probably be in a stance too. I would probably go Battle Stance here, just so we get more crits. Plus this. I said that's all I got, but like now I want to look at the numbers if we do this again with the buffs up, right? So here. Yeah, so it's critting for over 1,000 now on deep wounds. Yeah. All right, so that is actually what I got for you in this video. We'll take this out and test it in a future live stream, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. You guys, let me know, either thumbs up, like the video, or let me know in the comment section below what you think of the content, whether or not you're enjoying it, and you know, we'll kind of go from there as to whether or not we make more videos like this once I'm done with, you know, a video per specialization. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.